Imagine giving everything to your job. Sleepless nights, missed birthdays, every sacrifice you can think of. And then, one morning, you're thrown out, humiliated, not for doing something wrong, but because your child needed you. That's exactly what happened to Kesha, a single mom whose world collapsed in minutes. But what no one saw coming was how brilliantly she would rise. Kesha's heart pounded in her chest as her boss's voice echoed through the crowded conference room. "What the hell is that kid doing here, Kesha?" Victoria snapped, loud enough for everyone to stop and stare. "This is an office, not a daycare." Kesha hugged her son, Jordan, closer, feeling his rapid heartbeat against her chest. His tiny body trembled as he struggled to breathe, caught in the grip of another asthma attack. "I'm so sorry, Miss Crawford," Kesha replied, voice shaking but clear. "My babysitter canceled this morning, and today's the Miller Project presentation. I've worked on it for months, and I couldn't miss it." Victoria walked toward her, heels clicking sharply across the floor. Her eyes were cold, unforgiving. "Company policy is clear," she said, voice harsh, eyes narrowed. "No exceptions. You're fired, effective immediately." A heavy silence fell over the room. Kesha felt every eye on her, judgmental and pitying. Her breathing quickened, anger burning in her chest. 6 years of dedication gone in an instant. She remembered the long nights, the weekends spent away from Jordan, birthdays she'd missed to prove her worth. It all meant nothing now. Her black skin had always meant working twice as hard for half the respect, and today it felt like even that wasn't enough. "Security is on their way to escort you out," Victoria said coldly, a twisted smile forming on her lips. "Return your badge and keys immediately." Jordan coughed again, weak and struggling. Kesha quickly grabbed his inhaler, her hands trembling. "Breathe with me, sweetheart," she whispered softly, ignoring the stares and whispers around her. "See?" Victoria said, pointing dramatically. "This is exactly why single mothers don't belong here. Divided priorities." Kesha glanced around the room, searching for support. Robert avoided her gaze, staring down at the table. Just months ago, she'd saved his job, fixing his costly mistake overnight without taking any credit. Now he wouldn't even look at her. She stood slowly, holding Jordan tightly, chin lifted proudly despite the ache in her chest. Gathering her belongings, she noticed something out of the corner of her eye. Victoria holding her phone, recording every humiliating moment. "Mommy," Jordan whispered, his voice fragile, "why is that lady being mean to us?" Kesha's voice was firm, carrying across the room. "Because some people think cruelty makes them powerful. But they're wrong." She moved through the office toward the elevator, feeling every stare. But inside, a quiet resolve began to take shape, stronger than her anger, sharper than her pain. As the elevator doors closed, she leaned close to Jordan and whispered, determination filling her voice. "Mommy's going to show them what happens when they underestimate someone strong, someone smart." Hours later, at home, Kesha sat on the couch, Jordan playing quietly beside her. Her phone buzzed with notifications. Victoria had posted the video online, bragging about her decision. Hundreds of likes, comments praising her leadership. Anger surged through Kesha again, followed by something colder, calmer. She began to search, digging deep into Victoria's online life. Expensive trips, lavish parties, nasty comments about people not trying hard enough. Suddenly, Jordan's coughing jolted her back to reality. She checked her account, barely enough money left for his medication. Panic set in, but as quickly as it came, a memory surfaced from her childhood. Her mother's voice echoed softly in her mind. "Rich people always leave clues, sweetheart, and those clues can lead to justice." A sudden surge of hope filled her chest, mixing with her anger and determination. She opened a folder on her laptop, naming it Project Victoria. Each screenshot, each hateful comment, each arrogant post went straight into that folder. Every detail Victoria thought made her powerful was now ammunition. The phone rang again, startling her. Jennifer from accounting, her voice nervous, hesitant. "Kesha, I'm sorry. That was terrible what happened today. Some of us want to file a complaint." "Don't risk it," Kesha said gently. "But, Jen, do you still have access to the company's shared files?" "Yes, but why?" Jennifer asked, puzzled. "Just curious about some old policies," Kesha replied, a sly smile forming. Jennifer had just unknowingly become a key ally. As night fell, Kesha worked tirelessly, eyes heavy with exhaustion but heart full of purpose. She uncovered patterns. Victoria had fired dozens of women, many single mothers, minorities, all under suspicious circumstances. "Mommy," Jordan called weakly from his makeshift bed, "are you crying?" "No, baby," she whispered softly, tears blurring her vision. "I'm planning." Late that night, Kesha made a crucial call. Marcus, an old friend, answered sleepily. "Marcus, it's me," she began quietly. "I need your help." Marcus listened carefully, anger building as she explained. "Send me everything," he finally said, his voice strong and certain. "We'll make her regret this." As Kesha hung up, she felt a fierce, steady confidence replacing her earlier despair. Victoria Crawford had made the biggest mistake of her life, underestimating the intelligence, strength, and resilience of a mother determined to protect her child and herself. Victoria's arrogance had blinded her, but Kesha saw clearly. She knew that true justice wasn't immediate. It required patience, careful planning, and precise execution. As dawn broke over the city, Kesha knew one thing for sure. Victoria Crawford's reign of cruelty was coming to an end. The next morning, Kesha's heart was heavy with worry. Jordan's breathing was getting worse and their money was almost gone. As she made breakfast, Jordan sat quietly at the table, his toy car missing a wheel. "Mommy," he asked softly, eyes wide and innocent, "will we be okay?" Kesha forced a reassuring smile, kneeling beside him. "We will, sweetheart. Mommy's working on something important. We'll be better than okay." But her words felt hollow, even to her. Her phone vibrated, interrupting the quiet moment. It was Marcus, voice alert and energized. "Kesha, you won't believe what I found," he said urgently. "Victoria has a private file. She keeps photos, recordings, even nasty comments about all the people she's fired. And she's targeted mostly minorities and single mothers." A cold chill ran through Kesha, but hope flickered too. "She did the same to you, Kesha," Marcus continued. "Photos from meetings, cruel notes about your appearance. She's sick. But here's the kicker. She's part of a group chat with other executives. They blacklist anyone who might cause them trouble." Kesha's heart raced, anger mixing with determination. "Marcus, we need to expose her." "We will," he assured her confidently. "But first, gather everything you can from your colleagues. Every piece of evidence counts." Later that day, Kesha got another unexpected call. Diana, an ex-colleague Victoria had cruelly fired months before, reached out from the hospital waiting room. "Kesha, it's Diana." Her voice trembled slightly. "I heard what happened. I'm so sorry. Victoria did something similar to me. She made sure no one would hire me again." "Diana," Kesha said gently, sensing an opportunity, "did you keep any emails or messages from her? Anything at all?" "Yes," Diana replied, surprised. "I saved everything. I always felt I'd need it one day." "Then let's meet," Kesha said firmly. "Together, we're stronger." They met at a small cafe near the hospital, sharing their stories, their pain. Diana revealed emails filled with inappropriate remarks, cruel sabotages of important presentations, and manipulative tactics designed to push her out. "She hurt me deeply," Diana whispered, eyes glistening, "because she knew I couldn't fight back." "But we can now," Kesha assured her, voice filled with newfound strength. "She's underestimated all of us." That evening, Kesha created a WhatsApp group, naming it Project Justice. She reached out to other women Victoria had wronged, each conversation adding fuel to her determination. Each woman had her story, evidence they'd quietly held on to, hoping one day they'd find justice. Marcus called again that night, excitement clear in his voice. "Kesha, we have her. Victoria's been stealing money from company funds, paying for her lavish vacations by falsifying training expenses. It's clear, undeniable evidence." Kesha smiled, fierce and unwavering. "Perfect. She built her empire on pain. Now it will crumble under truth." As she hung up, she watched Jordan sleeping peacefully, his tiny chest rising and falling. She whispered quietly into the darkness, a promise as much to herself as to him. "Mommy's going to change everything. You'll never have to feel afraid again." But the battle was far from over. Days later, Kesha discovered Victoria had blacklisted her at every consulting firm in the city. Job offers evaporated overnight. Her savings dwindled, but her determination only grew. She met with Marcus again, late at night in a quiet park. He handed her files, filled with detailed proof of Victoria's discrimination, embezzlement, and cruelty. "This could ruin her," Marcus said quietly, "but you'll need the right moment to make it count." Just then, Kesha's phone buzzed. It was Jennifer from accounting again, voice urgent. "Kesha, Victoria fired someone else today. Jennifer Walsh, Senator Walsh's daughter. Victoria posted the video online just like yours, but this time she made a huge mistake. Jennifer is furious, and she has powerful connections." Kesha's eyes gleamed with sudden clarity. "Then it's time we all come together. Victoria is about to learn that cruelty doesn't win, not when good people stand united." In that moment, under the quiet stars, Kesha knew the tide was turning. Victoria had finally made one mistake too many, and justice was now firmly within reach. Days passed, filled with anticipation and quiet planning. Kesha felt a growing strength in her heart, supported by those who had once suffered alone. They gathered evidence meticulously, waiting patiently for the perfect moment to act. Finally, that moment came. Jennifer Walsh arranged a meeting at a discreet cafe. She was composed but clearly shaken by her own humiliation. Her voice was steady, eyes serious as she leaned closer. "Victoria made a huge mistake," Jennifer explained firmly. "She humiliated me publicly without knowing who my father is. He's running for governor on family values. This couldn't have been worse timing for her. Kesha listened carefully, heart pounding with hope. She opened her laptop, turning it toward Jennifer. "I have everything we need," she said softly, her voice filled with resolve. "Photos, emails, recordings, years of discrimination, blacklisting, and even embezzlement." Jennifer's eyes widened as she skimmed through the files. "My God, she's even worse than I imagined." Kesha nodded slowly. "This is why we must act now. She's hurt too many people. She needs to be stopped." Jennifer looked determined, a fire sparking in her eyes. "I have contacts in national media. They're interested in stories about workplace discrimination. With your evidence, this could explode." Kesha felt relief flood through her veins. After months of quiet suffering, justice was finally in reach. But she knew this fight wasn't just for herself. It was for Jordan, for Diana, for all those Victoria had cruelly tossed aside. A week later, the explosive news aired on a major national program. Kesha sat with Jordan by her side, gripping his hand tightly as the truth unfolded on screen. First, Kesha's own humiliating dismissal played out, raw and painful. Then came Victoria's private file, publicly revealing her secret cruelty, photos, vicious comments, recordings capturing her cruelty. Kesha saw her colleagues on the news, women she'd fought alongside, now speaking bravely about their suffering. Diana's voice shook slightly but held firm, recounting her personal torment and Victoria's relentless sabotage. Then the program revealed Victoria's secret group chat, a network of powerful executives blacklisting innocent people and sharing spiteful gossip. Shock rippled through viewers nationwide, scandal spreading rapidly on social media. Victoria's assistant rushed into her office frantic, holding up the live stream. Victoria watched in horror as her private cruelties became public. Her phone exploded with calls from furious clients, panicked legal advisors, and her own father shouting about the family's ruined reputation. That evening, Victoria was escorted out of Morrison and Associates, humiliated in front of the same colleagues she'd terrorized. It was streamed live online, a cruel twist of justice. Kesha watched, heart swelling not with triumph, but with deep satisfaction. Justice was served. The next morning, she received an unexpected call. "Ms. Rodriguez," a voice said respectfully, "we'd like to offer you your old job back, with a promotion and full compensation for the harm done to you." Kesha glanced over at Jordan, playing quietly with his toys. "Thank you," she replied calmly, "but I have other offers to consider." Indeed, her phone had already buzzed with calls from companies impressed by her bravery, integrity, and strategic mind. Each call offered opportunities she'd never dared to dream of before. As days turned into weeks, the impact of her actions spread. Companies began revising policies, launching discrimination training, and creating safe reporting channels. Late one evening, Marcus called her, excitement clear in his voice. "Kesha, 3 executives from Victoria's Blacklist Network were fired today. You changed everything." She smiled softly, warmth spreading in her chest. "We changed everything, Marcus. We did this together." He laughed warmly. "You're right. And now, companies across the city are afraid to ever repeat Victoria's mistakes. You've started a movement." As Kesha hung up, Jordan climbed into her lap, eyes sleepy but peaceful. "Mommy," he whispered, cuddling close, "did you win?" She kissed his forehead gently, her voice tender and sure. "Yes, sweetheart, we won." And as she held him close, Kesha knew that true victory wasn't just defeating her enemy. It was building a safer, fonder world for Jordan and all those who came after. Months passed, and life began to change dramatically for Kesha. Companies competed to hire her, impressed by her courage, intelligence, and determination. Eventually, she accepted a position as CEO of Davies and Partners, a highly respected consulting firm. Her new office overlooked the very building where Morrison and Associates once thrived, now empty, a stark reminder of Victoria's downfall. Jordan, now healthier and happier, often joined her at the office after school. One afternoon, as he sat drawing superheroes, he looked up at Kesha, his eyes filled with admiration. "Mommy," he said with innocent curiosity, "are you like this hero?" Kesha smiled warmly, gently touching his drawing. "Maybe a little, but you know what? I think you're the real hero." Jordan giggled happily, continuing to color as Kesha watched with a deep sense of peace. Her battle hadn't just been for justice, it was for moments exactly like this. The phone rang softly, breaking her thoughts. It was Diana Santos, now working as a corporate diversity manager. "Kesha, I saw Victoria today," Diana said quietly, her voice tinged with sadness. "She was at the supermarket, applying for a minimum wage job. She recognized me and she looked away, embarrassed." Kesha felt a moment of quiet reflection. "Maybe now she understands," she replied gently, "what it feels like to be invisible." That evening, another call came, this time from Jennifer Walsh. "Kesha," Jennifer's voice was filled with excitement. "They passed a new law today in the Senate. It protects workers from discrimination, and it's officially called the Kesha Rodriguez Act." Kesha felt tears welling up, gratitude and pride filling her heart. "Jennifer, this means so much. Thank you." Jennifer's voice softened, warm and sincere. "No, Kesha, thank you. Your courage made this possible." Later, as Kesha tucked Jordan into bed in their comfortable new home, he hugged his teddy bear tightly and asked softly, "Mommy, are you still mad at the mean lady?" Kesha gently brushed the hair from his forehead. "No, sweetheart. You can't stay mad at someone who taught you so much." "What did she teach you, Mommy?" he whispered, yawning sleepily. "That being strong doesn't mean being cruel," Kesha replied, voice gentle and firm. "Real strength comes from kindness and standing up for what's right." Jordan smiled sleepily, drifting off. Kesha quietly stepped away, looking out at the city lights from the window. Her journey had been long and painful, but she'd emerged stronger, wiser, and kinder. Marcus called again later that night, voice animated with excitement. "Did you hear the latest? 3 more companies have implemented new anti-discrimination policies because of you. They're calling it the Kesha effect." Kesha laughed warmly, genuinely happy. "Marcus, it's amazing what we achieved together." "No," Marcus insisted gently. "It's amazing what you did. You never backed down." Kesha paused, thoughtful. "Sometimes it only takes one person to stand up, Marcus." As she hung up the phone, Kesha felt deeply satisfied, not just because Victoria was finally facing consequences, but because her own story had inspired lasting change. The city was transforming into a safer, fairer place for everyone. She knew now that her real victory wasn't just Victoria's downfall, it was creating a legacy of hope and strength for people everywhere. especially mothers like her who had once felt powerless. With a deep breath, Kesha closed her eyes, feeling truly at peace for the first time in months. She had not only fought and won, she had shown the world what true strength looked like: compassionate, determined, and unwavering in the face of injustice. A full year passed since that humiliating day, and Kesha found herself standing backstage at the nation's largest women's leadership event. Her heart fluttered slightly, excitement mixed with a quiet pride. 2,000 women waited beyond the curtain, ready to hear her story, a story of overcoming injustice, fighting discrimination, and creating meaningful change. As she stepped onto the stage, applause erupted, powerful and overwhelming. For a brief moment, Kesha glanced upward, silently thanking her mother for the strength she had passed on. She began speaking softly, clearly, her voice filled with emotion and sincerity. "1 year ago, I was publicly humiliated and fired because my child was sick. But what hurt even more was knowing I wasn't alone. Many women face the same injustices, often silently. I decided I couldn't be silent any longer." The audience listened, captivated, their eyes glistening with recognition and understanding. When I stood up to injustice, others joined me. We gathered evidence, shared our stories, and refused to back down. Together, we changed everything. As Kesha spoke, the large screen behind her displayed powerful images, headlines about Victoria's downfall, news stories about policy reforms, and portraits of women she'd helped empower. In a small apartment across town, Victoria watched the speech on television, alone, humbled, and forgotten. She saw the woman she'd once belittled now celebrated and honored. Victoria finally understood the consequences of cruelty, feeling deeply the impact of her actions. Back on stage, Kesha's voice grew stronger, her message resonating deeply. The best revenge isn't retaliation. It's using cruelty as fuel to create something so powerful, so positive, that it changes lives. It's building something meaningful from pain, something that uplifts others. The crowd erupted again, standing ovation filling the hall with powerful energy. Tears filled Kesha's eyes, gratitude washing over her. She had done more than survive. She had thrived, and in doing so, had transformed countless lives. That evening, at home, Kesha sat quietly with Jordan, reading bedtime stories in his cozy room. "Mommy," Jordan said softly, cuddled under the covers, "you're a superhero. Everyone says so." She smiled warmly, kissing his forehead. "Everyone has a superhero inside them, Jordan. It's about choosing kindness and bravery, even when it's hard." Jordan nodded thoughtfully, eyes heavy with sleep. "I want to be brave, like you." "You already are, sweetheart," she whispered gently, pulling the covers snugly around him. Later, as she stood quietly by the window, Marcus called, his voice reflective and proud. "Kesha, your speech today inspired so many people. Companies are changing. Policies are shifting. You really made a difference." She smiled, peaceful and content. "Marcus, we did this. Everyone who stood by me made this possible." Marcus paused briefly. "You know, Kesha, you showed everyone that true strength isn't loud or harsh. It's quiet, steady, and deeply powerful." Kesha closed her eyes, absorbing his words deeply. "Exactly," she whispered softly. "And now, the world sees it too." She hung up, turning again to look at the city lights below. The world had changed, not just for her, but for everyone who had ever felt powerless or alone. Her legacy wasn't in titles or fame, but in the quiet courage that had sparked a movement. Kesha knew this deeply, feeling it in every heartbeat. Her journey had started in pain, humiliation, and despair, but ended in strength, dignity, and profound change. And in that quiet moment, surrounded by love, hope, and a sense of genuine victory, Kesha knew she had not just survived, she had truly won.